This week we drop in on Luigi's Mansion 2, chat with the golden-voiced Paul Eiding, and step out of the DeLorean into the year that was 1993. This is Player Attack. But first, the latest gaming news, and finally 2K Games has revealed just what it's been working on. The Bureau, XCOM Declassified, is the brand new face of the XCOM shooter we were promised 3 years ago, and it is lining up to be an all-new experience set in the traditional XCOM universe. Now a tactical third-person shooter, this development is the latest in a long, drawn-out saga that relates all the way back to E3 2010, when we were shown a shiny new FPS. Since then, the game has been hit by no fewer than 3 major delays, and more recently, publisher 2K Games removing evidence of the title's existence. It seems that's an appropriate strategy to take. The new Bureau is all about censoring evidence, hiding the facts, and erasing the truth. It is an origin story as you follow in the shoes of William Carter, a special agent leading a squad in a high-stakes secret war. The Bureau XCOM Declassified is due out in late August for Xbox 360, PS3 and PC. Out even sooner than that, after a similarly drawn-out process, is Dust 514, the new one from EVE Online developer CCP Games. Finally headed to PlayStation 3 on May 14th, that is 5/14 when you write the month first, Dust is a free-to-play FPS set in exactly the same universe as EVE, to the point where in-game battles in one affect the way things play out in the other. You can expect a massive, persistent universe, a large-scale warfare, a connected network with fans playing both Dust and EVE, and an ever-progressing experience. The developers have taken many years to get here and have planned updates for many years into the future, building on the slow but steady progress enjoyed by EVE over the past decade. With E3 less than 6 weeks away, it is time for the major console manufacturers to start making some noise. First cab off the rank, of course, is Sony, who revealed the PlayStation 4 months ago, but didn't bother showing us what the actual machine looked like. We still have to wait until June to actually see the PlayStation 4, but in the meantime, the company is making sure we are well and truly familiarised with the DualShock 4, the console's brand new controller. While all that's going on, Microsoft is getting ready for its day in the spotlight with a major event planned for May 21st. Promising to unveil a new generation, this is the first real admission from Microsoft that a new console is actually in development, something that we've all known about for more than a year now. Whether it's called the Xbox 720, the Xbox Infinite, the Nextbox, or simply the Xbox, the wraps will be taken off at an event streamed live all over the world. After that, it'll just be a mere 19 days wait to see what kind of games we'll actually be able to play, with a comprehensive showcase planned for E3. This leaves Nintendo as the third major console manufacturer to show off its wares at the annual event in Los Angeles. However, this year will be different, with the Japanese company confirming that it will not hold a traditional pre-show press conference, leaving Microsoft and Sony to stand alone. Satoru Iwata has confessed that the company had lost its way a little with previous E3 presentations, frustrating gamers, distribution partners, and analysts alike, and so rather than trying to shoehorn all 3 interest groups into one show, Nintendo is embracing alternative methods. One of these alternative methods are regular Nintendo Direct presentations, where the publisher can share information on upcoming titles and updates direct to the consumer. Now, this doesn't mean that Nintendo will not be at E3, far from it. The company is instead planning a few smaller events, primarily focusing on its Western software lineup, and there will be plenty of opportunities for hands-on gaming on the show floor. But now to something completely different. Predictably, tickets to this year's BlizzCon sold out almost instantaneously, but even if you cannot get to Anaheim, it looks like there is some nifty news headed our way soon. The film adaptation of Warcraft was first revealed back in 2006, and it's had a troubled development since, picking up and discarding writers and directors like Driftwood. Now, though, it seems that the movie has found its true match with Moon director Duncan Jones, and just this week, the film's visual effects director was named Bill Westenhofer from Rhythm and Hues. Westenhofer is the award-winning artist who rose to fame following his work on The Golden Compass, Batman Forever, Spawn, Waterworld, and The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, but he is best known as a visual effects director on The Life of Pi. He won an Oscar for his efforts and during his acceptance speech spawned industry protests when he brought up the financial dramas facing his studio. Blizzard's Vice President of Art and Cinematic Development, Nick Carpenter, tweets that the project is in good hands. But that wasn't the only game-movie tie-in that we caught up with either. Insomniac Games' Ratchet & Clank is set to make their silver screen debut in 2015 with a full-length 3D animated adventure.
Space, a wondrous realm where heroes are forged. A place of peril and adventure and... I can't do this.
Okay, cut.
Sure you can, Quark. Just sound out the big words, like you practiced.
It's not that. Look, our first feature film, and there's nothing here. Where's the eye-popping 3D? The CG explosion? Where's the dubstep?
Apologies, Captain. Everyone is out making the Ratchet and Clank movie.
And they can't spend a few more hours getting us a bit of pizzazz? How lazy are they?
Whoa, hold on. You don't want to anger such a talented team of animators.
Oh, please. What'll they do? Stop animating? Don't look!
Quark, there are kids here.
Oh, real mature guys. Oh! Whoa! Oh, fist pumping! Now you crossed the line!
That is funny. What?
Oh, really? Oh, my back!
Perhaps you should just apologize.
Fine. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Sheesh. Oh, that's more like it.
The original Ratchet & Clank game first hit the PlayStation console family back in 2002, and the past 10 years have seen this foolhardy Lombax and his pocket-sized robot teaming up to stop the vile Chairman Drek. The new movie will be an origin story of sorts and is designed to attract new fans to the franchise, but for those of you concerned about authenticity, rest assured. Insomniac Games' senior writer TJ Fixman has written the script, and 3 key voice actors are returning for their classic roles of Ratchet, Clank, and Quark. To keep up to date with the latest gaming news, head to playerattack.com, but for now, stick around, we've got plenty more still to come. I'm here at Oz Comic Con Adelaide with Paul Eiding, actor, voice actor, transformer, all sorts of things. So I don't know where to start. Where should we start with what you've done and who you've been and where do we start?
Oh boy, if I knew that. I suppose at the beginning I was I'm a straight actor, stage, did some film and TV. And then from there I did a lot of animation cartoons for Hanna-Barbera, the GoBots, the Sky Commanders, Johnny Quest, the Littles. I got to work with people that I grew up with listening to. I got to do the Jetsons and the Smurfs and Yogi Bear. I've been really lucky, really lucky. And then I get to work on all the Pixar movies, doing that sort of thing. And then the video games started happening. Video games started really big in the 90s for me. And the first big video game I did was Diablo.
The Soul Stone burns with hellfire as an eerie red glow blurs your vision. Fresh blood flows into your eyes, and you begin to hear the tormented whispers of the damned. You have done what you knew must be done. The essence of Diablo is contained.
I'm the narrator in Diablo, and I talk about the Horadrim and all that sort of thing at the end. And StarCraft, Warcraft. I'm in all 3 Diablos, all 3 StarCrafts, and I'm in Warcraft. I don't know how many different characters in that, you know.
Too many to count. Sounds like you've been in everything. You've got fingers in so many pies.
I've been very lucky.
Yeah.
Really lucky. I get to do what I love to do, and they pay me to do it. Yeah, when you get a game like Metal Gear Solid,
which you were also in, which you've just completely glossed over.
Oh, Metal Gear. I'm Colonel Campbell in Metal Gear. which I'm really proud of, because it's a game that changed the way people look at games. I think it was one of the first games that really messed with the player's mind. I had several guys tell me today that they played the game, they would play like 5 or 6 hours. This is Metal Gear 2, where the colonel kind of, well, you don't know what's going on with the colonel. He kind of loses it. And there's one point in the game where they said that he was playing for 6 or 7 hours. It was 2 o'clock in the morning, very tired, only the screen on, all the lights off, and my character says, "Haven't you been playing this game long enough? Serious. Turn off the monitor now." And he said, "I turned it off. I didn't know what to do. I turned it off."
Raiden, turn the game console off right now.
What did you say?
The mission is a failure. Cut the power right now.
What's wrong with you?
Don't worry, it's a game. It's a game just like usual.
You'll ruin your eyes playing so close to the TV.
It was like, so when that kind of thing happens, and you say, yeah, it's doing its job.
Yeah, you know that you are affecting people's lives.
Yeah, it's really cool. You know what? I know that it's more about games, but what I love is I have parents come who were raised watching the Transformers. They'll have their little ones who are watching Ben 10, because I'm Grandpa Max in Ben 10. And then I have kids from 12 to young guys from 25 in their early 20s, mid 20s, who are all gamers. So it's like, yeah, I'm really blessed. It's like I get them all.
And I mean, for people who don't know much about voice acting, I mean, we all have this idea that it's just you go into a soundproof booth, you've got a microphone, you're given some lines to read, that's about it. How has the technology changed from your perspective since working with the cartoons in the 80s up to working with the games, as recently as this year?
Wow. The games, it's much faster. There are advantages and disadvantages. For me, one of the advantages is instead of cutting tape way back in the day, and editing that way, it took a lot more time. Now, with the digital, they can make you sound really good. You
don't need any help though, sir.
They can cut out the little breaths, they can cut out the mouth noise, they can cut out everything. And it's great that way. I love that. The negative is, back in the day, we all used to work in studio together. And as an actor, that's what you prefer. In most video games, there are only 2 video games that I've been able to work with other actors. Metal Gear was one. I was always with Snake. And there were a couple times when there were 4 of us in the room together. And Ben 10, we're all in the studio together. Almost all the other games, you're in there by yourself. And you have to imagine that the microphone is that other character. And it takes a while, to get used to it. Now after doing it all this time, it's pretty much second nature, But I still prefer to work with a live actor because it's more spontaneous. Oh, wait, I lied. There's one more game, Ratchet and Clank. I play Zephyr in Ratchet and Clank, and they're 2 old rusty robots who used to be fighters, Kronk and Zephyr. They allow us to come in and work together, and the cool thing about that is they let us from time to time just improv and come up with whatever we want to come up with, and then they find some way of fitting it into the game.
On that note, thank you so much for your time.
My pleasure. This was really hard. You're really nasty. You're mean, but I appreciate it. It was great fun.
That's not funny. It's just painful.
Growing up with a brother who was kind of a control freak meant that no matter what game we played, I was always player 2. I played for a while, but in the end, I developed an attachment to these sidekick characters in most games, and none more so than the tall green chap with the L on his cap. So it makes sense that the original Luigi's Mansion meant a lot to me. Luigi was finally in the spotlight, even if it was a dim, dank spotlight. And he had his own mansion, although a gloomy, ghost-infested one. But most importantly, he had his own game, and it was a fun, clever, and original one. The sequel has been far too long in the making, but it's been well worth the wait. Luigi's Mansion 2, subtitled Dark Moon in the US, has our green-suited yellow-bellied plumber summoned once again to Professor Egad's lab of questionable science and terrible puns. The professor had pacified the area's ghosts, but when an artifact called the Dark Moon is damaged, they rebel, trash the lab and cause havoc throughout the now numerous mansions in the valley. Professor sends Luigi into the buildings one by one, armed with his old backpack for vacuuming up ghosts and a new dark light torch that reveals hidden objects. The game plays pretty much the same as the original. Players explore creepy corridors and dusty rooms, using the Poltergust 5000 vacuum pack to clear out the ghosts that have taken up residence. Previously, catching creatures in your flashlight beam was enough to stop them. Now there's a special strobe light attachment that lets you stun ghosts with a tap of the A button. It might seem an unnecessary distinction, but it gives players a more direct, deliberate attack. Without the one-of-a-kind portrait ghosts that start in the original game, the more common enemies are given centre stage. They vary a bit in behaviour and strength. Some might be wearing sunglasses, so you'll have to remove those with the Poltergust first, stun him with the strobe, and then vacuuming up. Of course, the Mario franchise's iconic boos play a part in it all, with one hidden in each level, as a kind of, if you feel like it, objective. The new Dark Light Torch is a welcome addition. Shining it around a room will highlight previously invisible objects which may hold valuable loot or be key to completing a level. Yes, a level. Gorn is the structure of the first game, in which the mansion was an open world of sorts, with locked doors and rooms that can't be solved at first. Your main objective was to find a linear path through this non-linear environment, and it made the whole mansion feel like a puzzle that slowly comes together as you find keys and information, like the first few Resident Evil games. Luigi's Mansion 2 breaks up the environment into separate levels with clearly defined goals. It's a focus on more immediate puzzles now, which mostly include finding hidden items and ways to access certain areas, usually with the Dark Light Torch or by creative use of the Poltergust. You'll need to spin fans, roll back rugs, tear down wallpaper and posters, or suck up dust and cobwebs. And, like pretty much everything else nowadays, multiplayer has been thrown into the mix. Up to 4 players can team up to clear out ghosts from floor after floor before facing a boss at the top of the tower. It has some Left 4 Dead style mechanics as well to encourage cooperation a bit more. The best part is that the download play allows the use of a single game card between up to 4 players locally, or you can play over Wi-Fi with friends who also own the game. The whole adventure looks great in the 3DS's signature 3D. We watch the action from a fixed angle that removes the fourth wall and makes the environment feel like a diorama. The added depth is effective enough to make you keep this 3D slider cranked all the way up, even during the few sections where the gyroscope is used. The sound is equally charming, particularly Luigi's voice. You just want to give him a big hug when he nervously calls out in a dark room or hums along with the music, and every time he answers the phone with a "yellow," I can't stop the big goofy grin from crossing my face. Nintendo are known for pushing out the same kinds of games year after year, so it's great to see some of their less common but no less loved franchises getting some attention. Luigi's Mansion 2 contains all the fun, charm and originality of the first game, but adds enough to stand as its own thing. It's a unique experience and a must-have for any 3DS owner.
To celebrate the launch of Player Attack on Aurora, we are sharing some of these fantastic Turtle Beach headsets with you. The very impressive Call of Duty Black Ops 2 Air Force Kilo combines premium stereo sound with the very snazzy orange and black colour scheme we know and love from the world's biggest FPS franchise. With independent volume controls mounted directly on the cables, you can adjust the audio to your preference, so you'll never miss a chat just because there happens to be an explosion going on. All you have to do to win your very own headset is to head to playerattack.com. Follow the links to the Turtle Beach competition, fill out your name and contact details, and enter the secret keyword, which is on your screen right now. The competition is open to anyone in Australia and runs all the way up until May 10th, with the winner announced on Player Attack on Friday, May 17th. For the full terms and conditions, see our website.
Jimmy the Geek here in 1993. The big news this year, 2 new consoles have been released in an attempt to compete with the juggernauts Sega and Nintendo. Atari, who were all but wiped out after the video game crash of 1983, have released their first home console in years.
Some of you believe your system is the most advanced in the universe. Let's review the numbers. Sega Genesis is 16 bits. 3DO is 32 bits. The Atari Jaguar is 64 bits. Which is more advanced? Clifford! 16 and 32 are less than 64. Still with 64 bits, 3D graphics, real-world animation, and lightning speed that you can only get with Jaguar, which is more advanced!
Can you repeat the question?
Jaguar! Jaguar! Jaguar!
The Atari Jaguar is being touted as the first 64-bit console due to its graphics processor, but it's not all expected to be smooth sailing, with the first pictures of the console's controllers showing them as cumbersome and uncomfortable. Launch titles include a side-scrolling platformer and a free-roaming shooter. The 3DO interactive multiplayer has an interesting take on the business itself, appearing to try and standardize games by offering licensing deals to various electronics companies to build and sell their own consoles, with Philips being the first off the rank. With this method comes the obvious problems of cost, which has driven up the asking price of the console quite significantly. Other companies interested in producing their own 3DO interactive multiplayers are Sanyo and Goldstar. Nintendo at least are not letting the introduction of these two new consoles scare them, with new properties and re-releases coming from the company. Nintendo have released a flight sim, which takes full advantage of the Super Nintendo's Mode 7 capability to render in pseudo 3D. Star Fox, or Star Wing down here for copyright reasons, puts players in control of a fox pilot who leads a squadron consisting of a toad, a rabbit, and, bizarrely, a falcon. It's the first cartridge to be loaded with Nintendo's Super FX chip to assist the SNES in rendering the game's impressive graphics. There are already talks of a sequel and a port for an as-yet unknown handheld system. Also from Nintendo, an apology for the lack of planned reversed compatibility for the SNES. The compilation of all the NES exclusive Mario Bros. Games have been released under the title Super Mario All-Stars. As well as the original trilogy, a fourth game never legally seen outside Japan is to be included. These lost levels are believed to be the original sequel of the first game, explaining the massive shift in gameplay between the first two. As of yet, there's no word as to whether this high-definition remake for the next console idea will catch on. To the arcades now, and the sequel to last year's massive success, Mortal Kombat, has finally started taking coins. Mortal Kombat 2 keeps several of the features of the first game, including digitized actors, and naturally the trademark blood and gore. New characters include a mutant with blades embedded in his wrists, a new sledgehammer-wielding Big Bad, and a glitch from the first game which has been fleshed out into a full character. It's also believed the new form of fatality has been included as a response to the controversy that the first game created. Inputting a secret code allows the character to offer a token of friendship to their opponent. Mortal Kombat 2 will be directly competing with the second updated re-release of Street Fighter 2, also containing 4 new characters and another glitch which seems to have been a hit on the gamer scene called a combo system. Finally on the PC now, and one of the more unconventional games gets a sequel this year. SimCity 2000 joins SimAnt, SimEarth, and the original SimCity as a widespread simulation game, putting players in the role of a mayor. It's uncertain at this point whether the Sim series will continue after this installment. This is Jimmy the Geek from 1993 for Player Attack.
I'm Christopher Sabat, voice of Vegeta on Dragon Ball Z, and you're watching Player Attack.
And that's about it for this edition of Player Attack. Next week, we get a bit scary with Dead Island Riptide. We pop in for a chat with the Right Honourable, the Lord Mayor of Adelaide, Stephen Yarwood, and Jimmy clicks his heels together 3 times and turns up in 1994. Remember, you can check us out online at playerattack.com. We're on Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook, or you can drop us a line with some feedback to mailbox@playerattack.com. I'm Jessica Citizen, and this is Player Attack.